This sport is sponsored by Rapid Radio's tough night for the Padres, losing 3-0 to the Toronto Blue Jays last night. They'll be back today at 4 o'clock, 4:07. Randy Vasquez will be going for the Padres, while Kevin Gausman will be going for the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays are currently favored by -165. And in the NBA tonight, the first game of the Eastern Conference Finals, Pacers and Knicks at the Garden, starting at 5 o'clock. The Knicks are currently favored by 4.5, with the point total set at 222.5. Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies, offering national LTE coverage and no subscription ever. Perfect for instant contact with an aging parent. For a limited time, go to rapidradios.com. You'll get an extra 60% off and free UPS shipping. Add code radio and get an extra 5% off.
Yeah, let's get it going on a Wednesday. Welcome in, everybody. My name is Ben Fletcher. That's Sammy Long. Thank you for being here. A couple days out from Memorial Day weekend. Going to be a big one here in San Diego. Sammy said it pretty well. Padres bats can't do anything. Padres bats might need CPR or whatever those electronic shockwaves things they have in hospitals are that you say, clear. Padres bats need that because they are not hitting with power all year, and now they're just not hitting, period. And that's led to 4 games in a row where they've scored a combined 3 runs. Manny Machado hasn't gotten a hit in any of them, and the most common denominator, they've lost all 4 of those games. The San Diego Padres have. So we'll see what the fix is for that. Another one in Toronto today. Another wasted start last night from Dylan Cease, who I thought pitched really well outside of 2 pitches. Gave up 2 homers, and that was all the Toronto Blue Jays would need to go ahead and beat the Padres 3-0. So where does that leave us today? Well, Padres need to get back on track. Kevin Acee has a really nice article out in the UT, kind of putting things in perspective of every World Series team ever has undergone a stretch like the Padres are going through right now. And he has the numbers to back it up, but that does not make it any easier to watch right now. So we'll talk some Padres today, but it's pretty simple for me. Bats can't get going from their big 3, Fernando, Manny, and Jackson Merrill. Then they're not going to win a whole lot of baseball games. And that seems to be how the Padres have done it this year. NBA last night, OKC gets game 1. Close game for the first 3 quarters. Not a close game for the 4th quarter. OKC really pulled out in front. We got a hockey story today that I'm very excited about.
Always love talking some hockey.
Dude, this is a fun one. This is like sometimes hockey breaks through the mold of everything else and just rips to the front of the stage. And I don't know if it did that last night, but we're doing that today with a game that happened last night in hockey. And we got a ton of NFL news. Should be a great Wednesday. Sammy, how we doing?
We're doing good. Doing good. It's hump day. It's felt like this week it's been a day later every time I wake up, but as Marshall always says, it's a good day to have a good day. So we're here.
It's a good day to have a good day.
Marshall always brings the positivity in here, man.
Marshall, you should own a t-shirt company. Every day is going to be a good. What was it?
Every I'm going to let him say it.
It's a great day to have a great day.
It's a great day to have a great day.
He even said it better than I could.
I mean, love it. And he sounds way cooler than you do too.
Yeah, I can't argue with that.
All right, but on San Diego Sports 760 at the beginning of the show every single day around 12:03 or 12:04, we get to what we like to call the Big 3, which is the top 3 stories in the world of sports. Sammy, hit the button.
Your lunch break is here. Ready to go back to the office and knock the socks off your friends? I mean, coworkers? It's time for the top stories of the day. The Big 3.
If you would like to stream the show, you can on X. We are at Fletch and Sammy. On YouTube at San Diego Sports 760. Would love a follow. Would love a subscription if you're feeling up for it. By the way, we are 105 days, 11 hours, 55 minutes, and 48 seconds away from the start of the 2025-2026.
We should have a clock in here that is just dedicated. Oh, you got it locked in?
You mean like this?
Oh, look at Fletch. Always coming prepared.
105 days, 11 hours, 55 minutes, and 35 seconds away from the start of the 2025 NFL season. Can't wait for it. But, Sammy, where are we starting today?
All right, let's start. Big news out of the NFL. The tush push is staying. There were 22 votes against, 10 votes for. They needed 24 to reverse it. They needed a 3/4 majority. Some of the teams that voted for him, the Patriots actually voted for it. The Detroit Lions was a team, as well as the Jets, that were some of the teams that voted for keeping the tush push. How do you feel about this, that almost over 3/4 of the league didn't want it, but it's still staying because 10 teams were with it?
22 of the 32 voted to ban the tush push. That is a majority. The majority of the National Football League wants to ban the tush push. However, they needed 24 votes, and the ones who abstained, Eagles, Ravens, Browns, Lions, Jaguars, Dolphins, Patriots, Saints, Jets, and Titans all voted for the tush push to stay in the game. Now, 2 NFC teams, one of them not a surprise at all, that would be the Eagles. One of them big surprise in the Detroit Lions. You're in the NFC, dude. You're having to face this for the next 5 or 6 years at least. The one team I'm shocked voted to ban the tush push would be the Buffalo Bills, because they're the one other team that has success with the tush push with Josh Allen. So what do I take away from it? I think it probably should be banned if the majority of the league doesn't like it. I think it is an unfair advantage for one team, but also kick rocks, bro. Be better. Stop it. Figure out a way to stop it.
Yeah, I mean, it's here to stay, so everyone's got to live with it. I don't want to hear now.
They'll vote on it again next offseason.
They'll vote. What's going to be interesting is, so all those teams that voted against it, what I don't want to hear from the Lions is if they meet them in the NFC title game and they lose because of a tush push or something like that, and we're hearing about the spot of a ball and then we're complaining about it. That's what I don't want to hear, because you voted for it. That's fine. It is true that the Eagles are the only team that really runs it to perfection. The Bills run it pretty well, but not at the same clip of the Eagles. It's I would have got rid of it. I do think it's kind of insane that because of the defensive rules, the fact that you can't spear someone, you can't jump over the center, you can't try to really line it up in the neutral zone. It feels like it's just kind of a physically impossible play to stop. But I got to give the Eagles credit; they run it to perfection. I'm just happy on the other side they got rid of the playoff seeding. The playoffs.
Yes, that is huge. The one quick note on the tush push before we move on from it, the photo that the Eagles used once this got announced, it got announced that the tush push is here to stay. And so the Eagles post a picture on their social media that just says push on it. I believe that's what it said. And the picture they used is actually from one of the very rare times that the tush push was stopped. And it was stopped by the Green Bay Packers. And so the internet is now roasting the hell out of the Eagles.
And Green Bay was the team that really was the main pusher behind this, ironically, tush push. But which is odd to me. I guess they just kind of, NFC team makes sense. I'm surprised any other NFC team would vote for this, especially Detroit. Maybe it's that they think that with Jahmyr Gibbs and Goff and the kind of big offensive line, it's a very Dan Campbell thing to probably root for, but I am kind of surprised that it.
Yeah, Jared Goff is going to be able to pull off the tush push. Yeah. That freaking baby giraffe.
For some reason, I don't think Jared Goff squats the same as Jalen Hurts.
Now, you put Jahmyr Gibbs or David Montgomery in the pile, we could talk, but not Jared Goff. All right, next.
All right, let's stick in the NFL. The Bills have been they're going to be on Hard Knocks. This just came down per Adam Schefter. Has the show lost its luster a little bit?
It has. So August 5th, the Buffalo Bills will begin their training camp with the Hard Knocks, and then I think the AFC East, maybe the NFC East, I'm not going to remember, but the in-season Hard Knocks this year is going to follow one of those divisions. Hard Knocks preseason has definitely lost its luster. It was at an all-time high. Remember when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the year they drafted... Or no, not the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm sorry. Tampa had it with Jameis. That was a great season. But Cleveland, when they had it with Baker Mayfield, I thought was my favorite season of Hard Knocks ever, because it was so dysfunctional. And you got to see Greg Williams be a terrible defensive coordinator and Hugh Jackson be a terrible head coach. And the entire time you're thinking, oh my God, this is the most dysfunctional locker room in the world. And it was. And Cleveland Browns have proven that. Since then, people have been so careful not to look like a jackass on Hard Knocks that the show's really lost some of it. It doesn't feel as authentic anymore. We'll see if the Bills can turn it around. I can promise you this, I'll be watching, because the theme song is iconic. It feels like football. It looks like football. I think Josh Allen's very good on camera, and this could end up being really fun with the Bills. I like the team. I don't like the product as much anymore.
I think what's the whole genius behind Hard Knocks when it started is that it started, I'm going to get this wrong, I think it was like 2006, something like that. Something in the mid to early 2000s. We didn't have the same kind of access that we have through X, through Twitter, through just social media. I mean, there are entire NFL social media teams that their whole job is pushing out clips throughout training camp.
2001, the Baltimore Ravens.
2001, even earlier. So at that time, you didn't have instant updates coming to your phone. You didn't have all this stuff. So it was kind of interesting seeing the behind the scenes of an NFL training camp and inside the meeting rooms and things like that. I think now that social media has changed how we view the NFL. We're much more kind of aware of the players' lives, or at least what they want us to know. And so I feel like it takes a little bit of the luster off. And the fact that it's the week before, I feel like in the preseason, everyone's just waiting for the regular season to start, and then they're talking about the week before. We all know what happened. And by this point, I mean, you'd have to wait to see the roster cuts in the newspaper if they put it in the next day. It used to be. Now you're getting them live updates about blah, 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 made the roster and this guy got cut. So it takes a little bit out of the last episode when you're like the smaller players that they followed. Did they make it? Did they not? It's I'll be watching, but I usually kind of burn out after an episode or two.
Yeah. Fun trivia question about Hard Knocks. Do you know who the voice of Hard Knocks is?
Oh yes. It's the dude from Ray Donovan. Yeah,
It's Ray Donovan. It's Wolverine's brother. It's Liev Schreiber.
What is his name? Liev Schreiber.
He's an awesome actor, but he completely changes his voice. And so the drama is he has this lifetime deal with Showtime because of Ray Donovan, but he's been doing this HBO show far before Ray Donovan was even a thing. And so in order for him to keep doing it, he had to make sure that that narrator voice stayed that voice, and then Ray Donovan had to have a completely separate voice. Yeah.
I didn't know. Yeah, he got the voice. I mean,
because they don't advertise the fact that it's Liev Schreiber. It's on the credits, but it's not like the voice of Hard Knocks. Liev Schreiber
he showed
doing
up
an
to
interview.
the Ram a couple years ago. He showed up to one of them
in a helicopter.
Okay,
badass.
Yeah. Was it the Rams? I think it was the Rams.
Sounds
like
right.
All right, let's head to let's go to the Padres. Padres. Where are the bats? And who's most to blame for the fact that there's a 4-game losing streak? What hitter is most to blame for this?
Yes, the whole lineup 1 through 9. If you want to put extra blame on some, put it on Manny Machado and Jackson Merrill, and even Fernando Tatis Jr. has been cooling down. But 1 through 9, hell, 1 through 12, because they've been trying different people out in left field. All of them are to blame. Look, it's been a season-long problem, the lack of power. But the problem that showed up over the last couple of weeks is just a lack of hitting, period. So you don't have power and you don't have hitting. Pretty bad combination. And the Padres, who pride themselves, and Mike Schilt, who prides himself on winning on the margins. You've heard that phrase a lot this season. There's not margins when you're not scoring runs, and there's not runs when you're not getting dudes on base. So I don't know if it's selfish at bats right now. It doesn't really seem like that to me. It seems like the whole team is just in a funk. And I don't know what the solution to that is. Maybe it's bringing someone in. AJ, personally, I think it's time to start picking up the phones, trying to get some other bats in this lineup, try to create some competition. I don't know if it's a night out on the town and everyone goes and gets drunk in Toronto, wherever the hell they are right now. Maybe that helps. But something needs to happen because hitting is contagious. But the flip side of that, not hitting is uber contagious. It's like freaking measles. None of them can hit right now.
Yeah, it's easy to go at the top of the lineup. They're all struggling, every single one of them, even Fernando. But I'm going to go at the back end. The 7, 8, 9 hitters have really not been giving the Padres a lot of support. Jason Hayward's been much maligned over the last few weeks. A lot has been kind of made of that, of whether he should really be on the roster. There's just not a lot. There's not a lot of options that the Padres have unless they go out and get someone. Maldonado didn't get a hit last night. Cronenworth was better a little bit last week, but went 0 for 3 yesterday. They're going to need some help at the back end. And we go back to the playoffs last year. What was the downfall against the Dodgers? There was no hitting 7, 8, 9. And then one, if you included Arias, because he was kind of hurt there. But Arias has been much better this year. So to start the year, the top of the line hitters, Merrill and Tatis and Machado, were just on fire. So I think it covered up a lot of the back end of the 7, 8, 9. And now we're seeing those guys cool off, and they're getting no help from the bottom of the lineup. I think there certainly needs to be some help coming in left field, and you got to get someone down there that can really consistently get on base to help these guys at the top of the lineup.
Good news for the Padres. Teams around them are kind of stinking it up right now too. Dodgers have been terrible for about a week and a half. Did they end up winning last night? Last I saw it was 1-1 in the 7th
game. It was 1-0. Dodgers. Tanner Scott, former Padre, gives up a solo home run, then gives up a 2-run home run in extras, but then Max Muncy hits a sac fly to win it.
Stupid Max Muncy. I can't stand that guy. Talk about a guy that looks like he smells bad. Coming from a guy who looks like he smells bad, all right?
I know this is going to offend you. You're like a much more attractive Max Muncy.
Yeah. It does offend me, actually, Sammy. Thank you.
I'm not even taking a shot at you. I'm just saying you kind of look like him, but like
compare me to a bridge troll.
If you worked out a little bit,
comparing me to a character from the J.R. Tolkien Lord of the Rings. This is the worst. I hate this.
I don't think you look like Gollum, if that's what you're saying.
No, you're saying I look like a dwarf from Lord of the Rings.
No.
You're saying I look like Gimli, dude.
You have the same beard.
I love my beard. Max Muncy wishes he could grow this beard.
Yes, Max Muncy wishes he looked like you.
God, I want to punch Sammy in the face. All right, we're going to take our first break of the day here on San Diego Sports 760. You are listening to the Fletch Zone. Good game in the NBA last night, which ended badly. Craziness in the world of hockey last night, and rule changes and voting and drama all over the NFL, including hundreds of thousands of dollars gifted from one player to another, all for a lazy little deuce. We'll tell you what it is coming up next. San Diego Sports 760. Coming up tonight, 6 o'clock, right here on San Diego Sports 760. It's SDFC Midweek Live. Here from the head coach, Mikey Vadas, as well as interviews with players and coaches. Find out the latest club and MLS information. SDFC Midweek Live every Wednesday night, 6 o'clock, right here on your home for SDFC San Diego Sports 760. Sammy said something very hurtful about 5 minutes ago. He said I look like Max Muncy. I don't think I've ever been more insulted in my life.
I genuinely didn't mean it as a shot. Like, I wasn't trying to make you feel bad. I just thought you kind of look like you're like a sexier Max Muncy, you know?
Somehow this does not make me feel better. Now 858 says Fletch is just Trevor Bauer without the money, fame, and sex life. Not the first time someone has compared my looks. I want to be very specific about that. How I look to Trevor Bauer. I get that a little bit, but yeah, no, I do not have the money, the fame, or the sex life. 484 helping me out. I was looking for the name of the zappy thing in the hospital. It's called a defibrillator. That's the
I've been watching Scrubs, so we know.
I know, I love Scrubs. But that was in reference to what the Padres bats need. And then 484 also says Padres actually need Narcan to revive the bats at the moment. Currently, this team is essing the bed, and if they don't wake up soon, they will be passing on without a postseason. 858 just says no Padres update needed, fellas.
Fletch, Trevor Bauer, and Max Muncy.
Dude,
that's quite a trio.
No, I don't want my names associated with either of those guys. Although here's the thing, if Trevor Bauer could still pitch, maybe he could help out in Major League Baseball. I think he's been cleared of every wrongdoing.
I think he has been cleared.
He's been cleared of everything.
I mean, he wouldn't be.
He's just kind of a jerk, it seems like.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot there, but isn't he pitching in like Japan right now?
I think Mexico.
Oh,
and I think he's pitching pretty well. AJ,
they just bring him over the border, and
seriously, I don't know that I would have that much of a problem with it. If I'm being honest,
you look
if he
like
could
him,
pitch.
so yeah, you're like kinship spirits.
Gosh, maybe we have a distant relative way down the line. All right, we're talking some NFL here. So kind of a crazy story that came out this morning. Ashton Jancy was asked about it. Ashton Jancy has answered. He was the 6th overall pick to the Las Vegas Raiders this year. So moving to Vegas, awesome for Ashton Jancy. Some GMs are already saying he's going to be a top 5 running back this year. I know all dynasty drafts have one name at the very top of them in terms of dynasty fantasy football, where you only draft rookies every year. And that name is Ashton Jancy. So Ashton Jancy has a lot of expectations on him. Now, the number 2 has kind of been synonymous with Ashton Jancy. And the only problem with that is he gets to Las Vegas, and Daniel Carlson, the kicker for the Las Vegas Raiders, currently has the number 2. Ashton Jancy has said publicly now that he paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for the number, said Daniel Carlson could go buy a new house with the amount of money I just gave him for the number 2. I think this is the dumbest tradition in sports.
That you have to buy the jersey number?
I think it's so stupid. Daniel Carlson's a kicker. Ashton Jancy's a franchise player. Why are we even having this conversation?
I'm surprised that Pete Carroll wasn't like, hey, bud, you're giving up that number.
Seriously.
Like,
Ashton
we'll go
Jancy
find another
kicker. He should be able to just go and pick. Outside of like maybe 98, because that's Max Crosby's number. I don't care who else it is on the Raiders. Ashton Jancy gets it.
Yeah, it is kind of an old tradition. I understand the... Like, didn't Abdul Carter try to get Lawrence Taylor's number or something like that?
Lawrence Taylor gave it to him.
Oh, okay, he did, but he went back and forth though. Remember,
there was one I just saw. Crap, who was it?
That I understand. Where you're talking about an all-time legend. Phil Simms gave it to him. Number 11. Okay,
someone just gave him. It might not have been Abdul Carter. It was someone else, but somebody, a legend of the game, someone who just got drafted this year. I'm not going to remember who it was.
But like if you're talking about a legend, I'm okay with that, where you need to pay them for the jersey number, you need to ask permission. Right when it's like some scrub that's the 5th receiver on the roster and they're 15 and you need to pay for 15, like that seems crazy to me. Ashton Jancy should get to pick whatever number he wants, considering to what you just said, he's the face of the franchise. You wouldn't take him that high if you were expecting to have him for the next 10 seasons.
Ashton Jancy should be able to walk in and rip that number from a kicker and not have to give him $500,000 or whatever it was. It's Daniel. I mean, are kickers Carlson.
Really even a part of the team?
I kind of. My beef with kickers goes way back, but I can't stand kickers, man. Look, if you got a good one, congratulations. But kickers should not have any sort of seniority when it comes to numbers. Kickers can go kick rocks. All right. Also in the NFL, if you missed it, the tush push did not get banned today. Now there was reports out this morning. Diana Rossini, very reputable reporter with ESPN, had a tweet out that said essentially the player committee and the rules committee have already agreed tush push is banned and this thing's going to go to a vote and it's going to be a landslide. Now, Jason Kelsey got on a plane and went to Minneapolis where the owners meeting was being held. The Eagles, I know their GM Roseman, he stepped up to the podium. He gave a long speech about why the tush push should stay, and something flipped, but they needed 24 votes. They got 22 votes. Only one other NFC team voted to keep the tush push. That was the Detroit Lions, which is a little curious, but they got enough to get it done, and the tush push will stay one more year at least until next offseason. Who do you think
flipped? Because clearly Rossini thought that they had enough. They must have thought they had 24 votes, and two teams must have flipped.
And she's not going to put that out there without having a pretty good feeling.
The Lions is shocking.
Lions is shocking.
That doesn't make sense to me because you're going to directly have to face them. I can see where teams in the AFC.
Can I say something kind of disrespectful?
Yeah.
Do you feel like the Saints, Jets, and Titans even deserve to have a vote?
No. I think that is a excellent take.
Like, do they even deserve to have a vote? They're not going to be competitive this year.
I think if you haven't won a playoff game in the last 10 years, you shouldn't get a vote.
I kind of agree, man. But so the teams put it together. I'll list off the teams one more time that voted to keep it. So the teams that voted to keep the tush push were the Eagles, obviously, Ravens, Browns, Lions, Jaguars, Dolphins, Patriots, Saints, Jets, Titans.
Like the Dolphins, Tua can't run anymore because he gets concussions every time. Like, what are you talking about? Why are you voting for the tush push?
The only thing that makes sense to me is if each of these teams that I just listed off have running backs that they're willing to do this with. I mean, like Lamar Jackson can do the tush push.
But I understand that.
The Bills being left off the list doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. That's something they could use to their advantage. In fact, they probably should have won the AFC Championship game, but the refs marked the ball a little too short.
Because stop.
Jaguars, they're not going to risk Trevor Lawrence. That's crazy.
Well, I just don't understand. Like I understand where AFC teams could maybe be. Like I don't care as much about
the Eagles
this.
Go beat everybody.
Right. Let them go mow down teams in the NFC. I don't understand how the Lions could think this, and I'm really kind of surprised, especially in the AFC East, because the Bills are probably the second most successful team. The only other team that's really had somewhat success running it has been the Buffalo Bills. I'm really surprised that the Jets voted for it. The Dolphins voted for it. The Patriots, like, I don't understand. I genuinely don't get this. Doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't think there's some backdoor deals going on with these owners, which I'm sure is happening, but very, very surprising. And it feels like if 22 NFL teams decide against it, it should be gone.
All right, and then the other side, the other thing that was up for debate today was the reseeding of the playoff seeds. Now, Adam Schefter had a tweet out early this morning that the team who proposed it, which I believe was also the Lions, wasn't it? Or was it the Vikings?
Yeah, it was the Lions, which is odd as well because the Lions aren't making any sense because they benefited from this.
Yeah, the Lions were the number one overall seed in the NFC a year ago, but the Lions withdrew their playoff reseeding proposal. So it got to the point where obviously early this morning, they realized they did not have the votes to push this through. And so they're like, yep, don't need it. Get it off the books. And I think that's a huge win for the NFL. Ornberger made a really good point on our show when he came on. He said, I wonder if this is setting something up down the line where you have the London Jaguars or you have a team overseas, the Mexico City Cardinals, whatever it might end up being, that you're going to have to kind of go away from the conferences or the divisions and start making it a little more fair because you got some teams that are going to have to travel a lot more during the regular season. But I'm glad this got pushed away. So it's going to be business as usual. AFC West is still going to hate the AFC West. The NFC North is still going to hate the NFC North. So I think this is a good thing that
we
this
want
did
to
not
keep
get passed.
these in division rivals. That is the best part about. That's one of the best things that makes the NFL tick. It's so fun when you have a Monday night game where maybe you have a team that's much better than the other one, but division rival, you kind of throw the records out the door. I'm glad that got shot down. I don't think that you should be rewarded just because you have a good record, but you don't win your division. There is something to be said for you should win your division because technically it's usually over years going to even out where some divisions are going to be better at times than others, and it's going to be fair unless you're the NFC South.
Yeah, unless you're the NFC South, which I think we should have a relegation promotion sort of deal in the NFL also, where the worst division in football, you sit a year out and then maybe you work your way back in. All right, coming up next on the Fletch Zone here on San Diego Sports 760. Padres bats are struggling. We had a really good game in the NBA last night. OKC gets game one. Ant-Man ain't worried. Let's talk about it coming up next. San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by Mattress Firm in the NBA tonight. Tyrese Halliburton and the Pacers will be in the Garden taking on the Knicks at 5 o'clock. The Knicks are currently favored by 4.5 for game one in this series. The point total is set at 222.5. And then in the NHL, the Oilers and Stars in the Western Conference Finals will get going. Game one, Edmonton is currently plus 110 with Dallas minus 130. That game will go on at 5 o'clock as well. Don't postpone better sleep. Shop Mattress Firm's Memorial Day sale now. Upgrade to a premium bed from a curated selection and take your rest to the next level. Don't miss out. Visit Mattress Firm today. Get matched. Sleep at night.
San Diego Sports 760. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2 o'clock today. John and Jim will take over then. Sad news as of last night. And fortunately, this man passed away peacefully in his sleep. But George Wendt, who you might not know by that name, but you do know by the name Norm Peterson, was the kind of cornerstone of a TV show called Cheers, which was a huge part of my childhood. I'm sure it was a huge part of a lot of your childhoods too. And Norm, in my opinion, is like a top 2 character on that show, maybe outside of like Woody. But Norm, who's famous for walking into the bar, everybody literally knows his name. And it was Norm, and Coach would say something like, "What do you know, Norm?" And he would say, "Not enough." And it was those fun little one-liners that really made him and thrust him into one of the greatest television characters of all time and one of the greatest TV shows of all time. That was the archetype for every sitcom you've ever watched. They're a descendant from Cheers. And so, Norm, rest in peace, buddy. I hope you're throwing him back up in heaven. And when you get to the pearly gates, hope someone was able to yell out, "Norm." Pretty cool, man. He had a good life. 76 years old, passed away peacefully in his sleep. One of my favorite TV characters, period, ever, all time. The scene where he becomes a beer taster, or the episode, and then at the end of it, they try to pay him, and he says, "I can't accept that."
No, I mean, like literally, Cheers made everyone want to go to a local bar and find your kind of community. Yeah, I mean, rest in peace, man. It's seeing all that kind of actors and actresses in Hollywood's outpouring of kind of love on social media today is special.
George Wendt, the GOAT of drinking beer on a quarter stool. Good for you, man. Good career. Hell of a life. All right. San Diego Sports 760. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you. The text line's out of control today. Whether they're calling me Trevor Bauer or having thoughts on Robert Kraft, like the 615. Robert Kraft, instead of voting for the Tush Push, probably thought he was voting for the new name of the local massage parlor. Come on, 615. Don't make us laugh too hard today. 619. The Lions make sense to me in that their coach, Dan Campbell, is a hard-nosed former player who seems like a guy who would say, we need to learn how to stop it. Dan Campbell is one of a kind head coach in the NFL, it feels like. And he's like, no, screw this. It's a football play, man. We need to learn how to stop it.
It's a bold choice after letting your defensive coordinator go.
619. The Padres need Serrano to come in into the clubhouse and bless the bats with Jubu. That's a great call, dude. You not listening?
No, I was talking to Marshall for a second.
They need Serrano.
Marshall sent the text in.
Oh,
he was trying to get you to read it.
That's a good call. But yeah, Serrano needs to come in and do something. Maybe throw some incense over everyone's bats because the Padres need something here. All right. Last night, OKC gets a win in game one of the Western Conference Finals. It was it felt like Minnesota was the better team for a lot of that game. And then in the second half, OKC scores 70 points. Minnesota scoring kind of goes away. And Sammy, a little bit of what you said yesterday on depending on how the refs called this series, it's going to lead one way or the other. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander gets a lot of calls, man, and he's ridiculously talented. I think he's very, very good. He's earned the MVP this year. He was flopping a little bit last night.
Yeah, last night was, I mean, it's an odd game because if you just looked at the box score, you're like, the Thunder destroyed them. They really didn't.
No.
For 3 quarters, it was a close game. The Timberwolves were leading by 4.5 or 6. It was, and Anthony Edwards got hurt there in the first quarter. He came back in the second.
Julius Randle on fire in the first half. He was hitting threes.
He was hitting he hit our over in the first half, which was crazy. But it just felt like, now they weren't shooting very well, the Thunder. I do understand people's kind of gripes with the fact that Shai does kind of get a lot of calls, but I mean, it goes to the talent of the Thunder that they can hit you from so many different angles and so many different like pieces on the floor that it's kind of hard to just put your best defender on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. It's I don't feel like the series is done. I know some people are like, they got shellacked. I actually think Minnesota can compete with them in a full kind of game. They have to get help from other places though. Like Mike Conley missed about 5 threes. DiVincenzo's not hitting enough threes. It has to come from somewhere else because it can't just be Randall and Edwards doing everything. And like Gobert, the size is something they need to lean into. And it is interesting how they started calling it. It feels like they started calling the game tighter. And then you see Anthony Edwards throw the ball at Shea and get the tech. Like there's some simple stuff the Timberwolves got to clean up if they want to be in this series.
Anthony Edwards after the game saying he's not worried about losing game one, and honestly probably shouldn't be. Like that's on the road. OKC had home field advantage to start, still have home court advantage, but the Timberwolves need to do some work here. Hopefully take game 2 on the road and make this thing a series. Our buddy Rich on YouTube saying, plus George Wendt was a key member on SNL, known for the Bears. That dude was a very, very talented actor. Very, very funny guy. Yeah. OKC, maybe they have a little bit too much talent. They poured it on with the scoring in the second half, especially 70 points in the second half for OKC. I don't know that Minnesota is going to have the offensive firepower to get back in this. And it's going to take a fully healthy, fully engaged Anthony Edwards moving forward.
It's odd when I think about the Thunder, like they may very well end up winning a title. There's a real chance that they win this thing. I still think that the Timberwolves can give them a series. And I do think that whoever it is in the finals, the Pacers, Knicks would be a good series. It's odd though, like if they were to win a title, they don't feel like, for how dominant they are, for how like the regular season success, running through everyone, and then in the playoffs kind of boat racing teams, like, I don't know. There's too much inconsistency behind Shea. Like the Celtics team last year, you looked at with like Brown and Tatum, you're like, this team's scary for years to come. Like they're just kids and Pritchard off the bench and all this stuff. Like Oklahoma City's going to be scary for a long time to come. But I also could see multiple years where not having an elite number 2 behind, like I feel like the matchups are working out in their favor.
Can Chet Holmgren fill into that at some point? He needs to gain about 40 pounds.
Yeah.
But he's talented enough, you would think.
The team has so much talent. You just don't know with like the size. And credit to him last night.
Lou Dort's my favorite player on the team. So
him and Caruso allow for them to be so good. If they didn't have Dort and Caruso, they would not win this many games because they take their best defender. I mean, Caruso was, messing with Randall all day, and then Dort got switched on to him. So yeah, it's kind of I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a little biased. They don't feel like they could very well win the championship. They don't feel like as dangerous of a favorite as years past favorites. If that makes sense.
Who was the loser on the bench for OKC who sold long shots last night?
Aaron Wiggins, dude.
2 points,
dude.
What are we doing? Everything else was perfect.
He missed a layup too.
Yamamoto killed his. Dylan Cease got his. Julius Randle in the first half.
Dylan Cease, I was sweating because he had 5 strikeouts in the first 3 innings. Then he didn't get it till 7, I believe, the 6th strikeout. Yeah, Aaron Wiggins, I think he's on the blacklist.
I think he has to be.
He's joined Andrew Nemhard, Karl Anthony Towns, and who else was on there?
I have no idea.
Yeah, it's a very unique list. Not Andrew Nemhard. What's the kid in college? Creighton, his brother?
Ryan
Nemhard. Ryan Nemhard has burned us so many times. It's crazy.
Yeah, all one time. He's toast. He's done forever.
It's kind of on me, the fact that I'm betting on a college kid and he keeps letting us down. But
probably,
Speaking
of long shots, we will have a brand new lineup coming up for you in about 5 minutes. Sammy's going to debut his newest one. If you don't have Prize Picks yet, download it. Use promo code Fletch, FLETCH. Get a $50 bonus after you play your first $5 entry. We're going to gift you that $5 entry coming up in just a little bit. We do have tickets to give away today. A pair of tickets to go see Simple Minds with Soft Cell and Modern English, Saturday, May 24th at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. Tickets and info at Ticketmaster.com. Long shots coming up next. We'll give those tickets away coming up in hour number 2. Long ways to go here on a Wednesday at San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. San Diego Sports 760. We got 13 chances for you to win $1,000 every single weekday with the bonus bucks giveaway every hour from 6 a.m. through 6 p.m. Listen for the keyword, then enter it at sportssd.com. Your next chance to win coming up in about 15 minutes right here on San Diego Sports 760. We're trying to bribe you to listen. That money's coming directly out of Sammy's paycheck.
Hold up. What was that?
Huh?
Coming out of my paycheck?
What?
See, I think we should pool the Big Rich CD and Fletch money. Because that's just a cash cow over there.
I think you would be largely disappointed with that. I'll be honest.
They don't want out of my paycheck. They're going to be like, what the hell is this?
But yeah, if you would like to win $1,000 and then go spend that $1,000 however you want to, coming up at 1:00 today, you have another shot with another keyword. You take it over to sportssd.com and you have your shot at winning $1,000. Sammy is going to try to get us to win $1,000 this year. Maybe we'll get there eventually. You might actually be pretty close.
Here's the thing.
You had a week where I cashed out like $600 on long shots.
We had a week where we were feeling good. I think we hit 4 or 5 that week or something like that.
I think you went 5 for 5 from a Tuesday through a Monday.
Yeah,
you went 5 for 5.
It comes in heaters. It comes in waves. You got to get hot. But yeah, we 3 or 4 last night. I really thought we were doing good. Cease was absolutely dealing. Yamamoto when he had his pitch count down there in the 4th, 5th inning, feeling good about that. And then Julius Randle went off, but that damn Aaron Wiggins, like, what are we doing, man? Like,
I will say, as of right now, I'm checking out Prize Picks, and we got a 25% basketball payout boost.
Yes, we do.
We're gonna opt into that, and Sammy, we're gonna hit the button right now.
Let's see. Underdogs? Nah, that's old. Those with a less than good chance of winning? Too wordy. Wait, got it. It's time for Sammy's long shots.
We going basketball tonight?
We're doing all basketball. We got that
I like
payout
it.
boost, dude. We got a Prize Picks payout boost. So I have a 3-leg parlay. Excuse me. Now, when you do a 3-leg same game parlay, because there's only one NBA game on tonight, we got to be creative. We got to have it tie into. I see all these parlays and love me some Charles Barkley and stuff, but the ones that they put on like inside the NBA, they'll be like Jalen Brunson over and Tyrese Halliburton over and OG Anunoby over. See, they're baiting you.
Sammy, that's terrible.
It's pretty good, but
Thank you.
They're baiting you. What they want you to do is take the over on all these guys, knowing that if the Knicks average 107 points a game, you take the over on multiple Knicks players. It's probably not a good chance of happening. So what we're doing now is we're doing a 3-leg parlay, but these kind of tie into each other. So I have 2 Pacers picks and one Knicks pick. We're going to start with the Knicks. Josh Hart more than 12.5 points. I think he's the unsung hero tonight. I think he has a big night on the court. I love watching Josh Hart play. He kind of does everything for this team. He scores, he rebounds, he's an assist. Perfect guy. He used to come off the bench, now in the starting lineup, does all the dirty work for this team that really lets Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns and them do what they want. But I think Josh Hart's a little bit more of a focal point because they got a lot of guards, a lot of good defenders, and Aaron Nesmith and multiple other players, TJ McConnell to throw at Jalen Brunson. I think some of the guards get into it more tonight. Josh Hart, more than 12.5 points. Now to the Pacers. These picks tie into each other. So Tyrese Halliburton, more than 9 assists. And Miles Turner more than 15.5 points. I think the lobs are going to be happening tonight to Miles Turner. Tyrese Halliburton, the way he has evolved, going from a traditional scorer, a guy that was a high volume shooter, to kind of more of a traditional point guard. His point total average is actually second on the team behind Pascal Siakam at about 17, 18 points a game. But his assist totals this year have completely shot up. He's averaging about 9 assists per game. I think he's going to get involved, kind of get others involved tonight. I think Miles Turner has a massive matchup against Karl-Anthony Towns where this series will be won and lost. I'm actually giving the edge to Miles Turner. He's a stretch 5. He wants to stay out on the perimeter and hit threes and kind of get after it that way. I think a lot of driving kick from Halliburton tonight. So more than 9 assists, a lot of those will be going to Miles Turner, who have more than 15.5 points. What do you think, Fletch?
I was confused on that one. What was the pick? Tyrese Halliburton, 9.5 assists?
More than 9 assists for Tyrese Halliburton.
But then there was another one with it?
What?
Wasn't there another? But you had Miles Turner doing something too.
I have Miles Turner more than 15.5 points.
Okay. I was confused which one you were talking about.
So we have Tyrese Halliburton, more than 9 assists, Miles Turner, more than 15.5 points, and Josh Hart, more than 12.5 points.
Gotcha.
We got it for same game parlays. They're trying to get you with this. You have to roll into them. You have to see that if Halliburton's going to be getting a lot of assists, who's those assists going to? Who's going to be the receiving end of this?
It's like in football, when you go more than on a quarterback's yards, you want to make sure you pair that with the receiver you think is going to have a big game.
Exactly. again, if you just go all overs on point totals, unless this game goes to overtime, it that usually doesn't work out.
All right, I like it.
This game tonight is going to be really interesting. Everyone locked in with it. Marshall's got it right here. Fletch got it right here.
I got it.
Do the Pacers speed up the Knicks, or do the Knicks slow it down? The Knicks only average about 107 points a game. Pacers about a 118. What gives there? The defensive Tibbs. I can't wait for this game tonight.
I just wonder if the Pacers are going to be a little tired after that golf tournament they threw in San Diego yesterday.
We're going there on the radio today?
Not all the way there.
You know,
honestly, I'm a little hurt we didn't get the invite, Sammy.
I was about to
Who
get to
talks
that.
more Pacers in San Diego than this show?
Yeah, I mean, when you think Pacers, you think Fletch Zone. You think Sammy and Fletch. And there's a lot of other shows in this town, but I think Pacers screams us. Everyone's got their own branding. A lot of interesting things going on at that golf tournament.
See, I don't know how much the golf tournament cost to be a part of, but I do know it cost you more money once you got onto the course than it did when you were registering to play.
Yeah, I don't think you can't just be a part of that, can you?
I mean, I got a buddy who was just a part of it.
Oh, so your buddy just signed up?
I think so. I don't know if he got any special invitation or anything. He must have been on some sort of mailing list for the golf tournament that happened in San Diego yesterday. But I mean, he was there. Had a great time.
Again? Where was that again?
I don't know what golf course it was even at. I'm not cool enough to get the email, Sammy.
Yeah, we need to talk to iHeart about that. I'm sure that they would really approve us going to that golf event.
The Indiana Pacers golf event that happened in San Diego yesterday.
There's about 10% of the audience who understands what you're saying right now, and the other 90% is going,
Yeah,
what the hell are they talking about?
Those 10% love it, Sammy. That's who we're talking to right now. The 10%, the brethren. It is San Diego Sports 760. We got a long way to go today. There's actually a hockey story that I'm obsessed with.
Should we get to it right now? We got time.
I think we should. So I wrote down these names because I'm going to mispronounce them horribly. But last night, the Carolina Hurricanes were playing against the Florida Panthers. Got those pronunciations right on. Now, Shane Gostis be here. Am I close?
Yeah.
Gostis be here. He plays for the Carolina Hurricanes. They had game 1 against the Florida Panthers last night in the Eastern Conference Finals. Gostis be here. Got hit by a gentleman named Brad Marchand. He's on the Florida Panthers. It was a normal hockey hit, but Gostis be here. He was a little pissed off about it. So from 120 feet out, he made it look like he was trying to shoot a goal and did a slap shot, and the puck immediately jumps up and it hits Marchand directly in the chest, which that was, all right, gloves are dropped and we're fighting right now. And it was great. Oh my God, it was electric. I saw the clips online. I tuned in for the end of that game. End of the game, not nearly as entertaining as the beginning, but this all happened. And so I have a couple thoughts on it because hockey is violent and that's why we like it. For a perfect example was me last night. I saw this clip trending on social media. Boom, immediately tuned into the game to see if there was any fallout from it. There really wasn't. But hockey is violent, and that's a good part about the sport. Number 2, as soon as I saw this clip, I texted my buddy, and I said, hey, is this a normal thing that happens in hockey? Are dudes hitting slap shots at each other from 5 feet away and puncturing lungs or whatever happened? And he said, no, he hasn't seen anything like that in the past decade. Number 3, I then asked, compare it to something in a sport we all know and love. And he says, in baseball, it would be as if the pitcher steps off the mound, turns and fires a 99-mile-an-hour fastball at the dude taking a lead off of first base. Like, this was beyond disrespectful what Gustis B here did to Marchand last night. And again, he literally just slap shot him from 120 feet, but he was about 5 feet away from Marchand, hits him dead in the lungs. It was kind of nuts, but then a huge fight happened. Hockey's fun. Do we need to take some of this stuff out of hockey? Because I kind of love it.
No. Hockey, first off, guys get careers in hockey because they can fight.
You're the goon.
Look at Matt Rempe. Matt Rempe's 22 years old. He plays for the Rangers. He got called up in his first 4 games. He got thrown out of 3 of them, had a goal or 2 goals, and had 5 fistfights. And it's a fun thing. It literally, I've watched hockey my whole life. It charges up the bench. Guys do it. Guys make careers from being physical. Yeah, this is crazy. You don't normally see stuff
because
like
it's
this.
A respectful fight. It's like both sides know what they're getting into.
Agree to it.
Yeah.
But
Gostis B here, he just went for
Well, there's also, like, you're dealing with skates. There's kind of unwritten rules in hockey. You keep your skates down so you don't seriously hurt someone or shoot pucks at people's heads. I mean, those pucks can go 90 to 100 miles an hour. That could kill someone. So kind of insane that happened in a playoff game. Usually there's less fighting in the playoffs because they don't want to go to the penalty box with their best players. But I was thinking about this yesterday.
Golf. I was assuming your next question was going to be what would be the best sport to add fighting to.
I was going to say I would pay, if I was in an NHL team, I would teach Canelo Alvarez how to have skates.
Oh.
And just teach him and be like an amateur or get an amateur fighter people don't know.
Isn't that the whole premise of the Sean William Scott movie? Goon?
Yeah,
he was a fighter. He was like a bouncer at a bar, and then they put some skates on him and said, "Go
put
have
some
at
skates
it."
on him." And I guess we couldn't do Canelo because everyone knows who Canelo is. Got to be some amateur fighter. Throw some skates on him, teach him how to skate, just be an absolute instigator, and then just beat the living.
In minor league hockey, that works.
It would work in the NHL too.
Yeah, but you like in the NHL, there's a draft. There's a process to getting to the NHL. You know, it's not like you can just show up out of nowhere. Minor league hockey, I think they have tryouts at the local YMCA's.
Well, no, those are your draft picks go to minor league as well.
Oh,
like the goals go to the Ducks. That's our San Diego kind of affiliate right there.
But yeah, fighters in other sports. Golf would be fun if you had Happy Gilmore, Bob Barker style fights. Or
DeChambeau, and was it Spieth he had a problem with?
It was DeChambeau and Rory. Initially, it was DeChambeau and Brooks.
Okay, that's what I meant. Koepka and him originally.
They hate each other. Those are two big dudes. That's a heavyweight fight.
Who would you not want to fight in the NBA? Like Giannis, you get killed. That would not work out.
Funny answer. He's been retired for a little bit now, and I actually think he's currently in prison. But Big Baby Davis.
Yes, I would not fight Big Baby Davis. That would not work out well for everyone involved.
Can someone check that? I don't know that he's in prison right now, but I think he's in prison.
Marshall's on it right here.
I'd feel really bad if I'm wrong on that one. But like
Fletch is breaking
Perkins,
news here on the Fletch Zone.
Kendrick Perkins would not want to fight Kendrick Perkins.
Dude, what? He's like
Shaquille O'Neal.
40 months in prison. Big Baby Davis.
I was right.
Shaq, yeah. Well, Kobe fought Shaq. There was a famous story about them in practice.
Didn't Steve Kerr take a punch, or did he punch Michael Jordan?
He got slapped from Michael Jordan, and then he came home, was all pissed off, and then his wife said, "You need to go apologize to Michael right now," and then he got even more mad.
I would also tell my husband to go apologize to Michael Jordan.
Ron Artest would be. I would not.
Talking about Meta World Peace? Are you talking about Ron Artest or Meta World Peace? Two completely different people.
No. Not Meta World Peace.
Because we could take Meta World Peace down. That dude's done.
Ron, don't.
He's gonna kill you.
Yeah.
Everybody on that team. Those were some dogs, dude.
That team, I would not mess with that team.
San Diego Sports 760. We're going to get out of here. Hour number 2 is coming up next. Danny Vietti's going to be jumping on the show. One of the smartest voices on baseball in the entire country. I'm pretty positive about that one. He's going to be jumping on at 1:30. The text I sent Danny today to have him come on the show was we could talk about the crappy Padres, the crappy Dodgers, and the crappy Soto. And Danny signed up right away. So we'll chat with him coming up at 1:30. All that still to come. San Diego Sports 760. Hour 2 next. Hey, it's Fletch for Gary Cooper, Mountain Trust Mortgage and Realty. Give Gary a call today, 858-376-1299, or visit him online anytime at mountaintrustmortgage.com. We got Gary with us today. And Gary, what's going on, man? Because I heard interest rates are on their way up once again.
Yeah, it's been all over the news. I was watching Good Morning America this morning, and they were talking about how the national average is at 7.04. That's the highest since not this last April, the year before. So, yeah, interest rates are definitely on the higher end. But as I talked about last week, if you recall, Fletch, I've got a lender who is offering no ads or hits, which is known as loan level price adjustments on all their VA and FHA loans. So if you're looking to purchase, this can save you a lot of money because you can go down to a 600 credit score and qualify, and you don't have the ads and hits to the interest rate or pricing.
Get straight mortgage answers by calling Mountain Trust Mortgage and Realty at 858-376-1299. Again, 858-376-1299. Call Gary Cooper, the Mountain Trust Mortgage team today, or visit them online at mountaintrustmortgage.com.
This report is sponsored by Rapid Radios. The Padres lost to the Toronto Blue Jays 3-0 yesterday. They'll be back in action here at 4:07. Toronto is currently minus 165 on the money line, with the Padres being plus 140. Randy Vasquez will be going for the Padres, while Kevin Gausman will be going for the Blue Jays. The run line is set at 8.5. And in the NBA, Tyrese Halliburton and the Pacers are going to be heading into New York in the Garden to take on the Knicks. The Knicks are currently favored by 4.5, with the point total set at 222.5. That game will start at 5 o'clock on TNT. Rapid Radio, so instant push to talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage and no subscriptions ever. A great alternative to a mobile phone for your kids. For a limited time, go to rapidradios.com now for 60% off and free UPS shipping. Add code radio and get an extra 5% off.
Yeah, let's get it going here in hour number 2. It's San Diego Sports 760. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2 o'clock. John and Jim will take over then. We'll get to the big 3 for hour number 2 in just a second. We'll get back to the Padres coming up in about 10 minutes. We will give away those tickets to Simple Minds coming up in about 7 minutes. But something to be pointed out, Sammy just said it in his update. SGA has officially been named the MVP for the 2024-25 NBA season. So let's go back. SGA, Jokic, Embiid, Jokic times 2, Giannis times 2. That is every NBA MVP since 2019. What do all those people have in common?
Not American.
None of them. So in the 2020s and all the way back to 2019, there's not been a single U.S.-born basketball player to win the MVP. Before that, before 2019, it was essentially all Americans outside of Hakeem Olajuwon, Steve Nash, and Dirk Nowitzki. What's going on, boys?
I think
Anthony Edwards, where we at?
that's what makes this playoffs the remaining teams interesting, even though it could be a small market matchup between the Pacers and Oklahoma City Thunder, which the NBA certainly does not want from a ratings perspective. But in terms of everyone, that's been a conversation. What's the next great American superstar? Or does the face of the NBA have to be American? Is it more about personality? Is it about your highlights, your accolades? Can you talk? Is it like what defines it? And there's been a lot of questions about whether someone from overseas could be the face of the league. Certainly could have a case for that. Jokic certainly has a case for that. Luka does overseas.
Luka probably has the biggest case.
Luka, in terms of face of the NBA, probably is the biggest. Like,
and he's with the Lakers.
SGA, small market, doesn't talk a lot. Like Anthony Edwards of the American-born players.
Dude talks some smack, and he's got game to back it up.
Anthony Edwards, I would say, would be at the top of that list. I think Jalen Brunson, if he were to win a title or at least get to the finals, would have a real shot. I think there's something.
I think the NBA was praying that it would have been Zion, but that ship already feels like it's sailed. Ja Morant, NBA had high hopes for him too. Ja
Morant is definitely.
He just can't stop putting guns out in social media videos.
Yes, I like Jalen Brunson's interesting because can he be the face of the league? Like,
I don't know, man.
He's 6'1". What people love about Jalen Brunson is he kind of feels like, even though he's not one of us, like he's 6'1", he was a second round pick, he was doubted his whole career, he was never a high draft pick. I think people kind of resonate with that, and he plays in New York. But do you need to be a little bit more flashy? Like Anthony Edwards is flashy. Anthony Edwards with the dunks he has, that goes viral. Anthony Edwards is a household name. I don't know that Tyrese Halliburton, Jalen Brunson, or Shai Gilgeous-Alexander are household names yet.
They're on their way. Strongest the NBA's ever been was when Michael was at the helm of it, and It was incredible. That was the best time the NBA's ever had, probably will ever have. And I don't know that you can replicate something like Michael Jordan. Second best is probably when Kobe was at the helm. Kobe, Allen Iverson, in the league at the same time. It was great then, man. Talking about competitive like crazy. Shaq still around. Even guys like Ben Wallace were huge stars at that point in the NBA. You look at the LeBron era, and yeah, I think the first half of it in great hands, but guess what? Kobe was still around for the first half of the LeBron era. Second half of it, not great hands. So I don't have any issue if Luka's the face of the league, but I think history so far has shown you that it's at its strongest when you have an Anthony Edwards or Ja Morant or Jalen Brunson, like you said, who's kind of the next dominant factor.
What do you think ties into being the face of the NBA the most? Is it your play? Is it that you can talk? Like what?
You got to be sellable on and off the court. You have to be can't miss television. Michael Jordan was can't miss television. Even for a minute, by the way, Steph Curry was can't miss television because
Steph Curry definitely be in that.
I think so too.
Changed the way basketball is completely played.
So you have to be can't miss TV, where then you can build an empire around it. Michael Jordan is much richer because of what happened not with basketball than what happened with basketball. The Jordan brand. Kobe Bryant got a lot more money from Nike than he ever got from playing
What
basketball.
American player do you think engulfs that most? Because it's weird that Jason Tatum, I mean,
we don't have him yet.
Cooper Flag, if everything
they could
down the road could be, but yeah, it's
they really, really wanted it to be Zion Williamson. They wanted him to get to the next level, go to the Pelicans, which I know at New Orleans, and they got crazy lucky. The Pelicans did that, fell into their lap. But Zion Williamson hasn't worked out, and he hasn't fixed the problems that he had throughout college. So we don't have that person as of right now. It could be one of the guys that you're talking about. It could be a Jalen Brunson. It could be an Anthony Edwards. I think Anthony Edwards has the best shot at it. But as of right now, no, that person doesn't exist. It exists in the WNBA. Caitlin Clark is that person. It exists there. So we'll see if the NBA can catch up to it. All right, we got to get to the big three of hour number 2. Sammy's going to run through the top stories in the world of sports. Danny Vietti coming up in just a little bit. Sammy, hit the button.
Your lunch break is here. Ready to go back to the office and knock the socks off your friends? I mean, coworkers? It's time for the top stories of the day. The big three.
Sammy, where are we starting hour number 2 with?
We're going to stay with the MVP real quick, but take a little bit different angle with this. So Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, just named 10 minutes ago, the NBA's MVP, beat Nikola Jokic, beat Nikola Jokic in 7 games, the Denver Nuggets. Michael Malone, the former coach of the Denver Nuggets, in the middle of the season went on a whole rant about how Nikola Jokic is disrespected. Last night in the postgame, endorsed Shai for MVP. Do you think this was a shot at his former player?
I don't know. Look, okay, so Michael Malone gets fired. What was this even a month and a half ago? Was this 2 months ago? Michael Malone
right
gets
before
fired?
the playoffs, so it was like a month ago.
Probably a month ago. Michael Malone gets fired, and then ESPN swoops him up immediately. Can I be completely honest in what I think happened? I think Michael Malone's not used to being on TV. I think Michael Malone maybe had a little bit of a slip up, and we've all been calling Shea the MVP over the last couple of weeks. He's been the odds-on favorite for like 3 months. So Michael Malone, just going with the normal talking points, probably did not even think for a second that he was potentially taking a shot at Nikola Jokic.
Yeah,
and he looked uncomfortable on TV last night. If you're watching the pregame show,
now he knew what he was doing. I think there's something to the sense that I'm sure he's a little irked that Jokic didn't stand up for him. Because if Jokic would have been like, Michael Malone's my head coach, I don't care what you want to do, he would have stayed. It's not like you're going to piss off Nikola Jokic. There's something to that. I thought it was interesting that he went there. I agree with you. He did look a little uncomfortable on TV. Maybe just kind of got pushed into the question, but certainly was a interesting choice from a guy who, looking for a new job now. I doubt he's going to be a commentator for years to come.
It was a clumsy pregame show. Stephen A. Smith carried it. He usually does. Stephen A. Smith was fantastic on it, but the rest of them, it was weird. It was just like, oh my God, I love OKC. Oh, the OKC mascot's here. Oh, OKC mascot gave me a pin. This is amazing.
Bob Myers. I'm like, dude,
he's a cringy dude to watch.
How did he get that job? All right, let's head back to
great head of hair.
He's got a great head of hair. He does have that. Let's head back to the tush push. So some new stuff has come down. Per sources, tempers flare as the Eagles defend it. Philadelphia Eagles owner Jeffrey Lurie made an impassioned speech in defense of the play, and apparently there was a heated exchange between NFL owners and league executives Wednesday morning during the league meetings.
Dude, tell me Jerry Jones tried to get in a fight with someone.
Jerry, hey, you listen here.
Good for Jeffrey Lurie. He got up there and defended his guys. He got this thing pushed across. Look, as of this morning, the tush push was going to be banned. It was going to be banned as of around 8 o'clock this morning. And then by 9:30 this morning, Pacific Coast time, it was not banned. And it got voted through to stay for at least one more year. So obviously something Jeffrey Lurie or something Jason Kelsey said at the owners' meetings this morning worked and flipped a couple of teams, because as of this morning, Diana Rossini had it. This thing was going to get banned heading into next season.
I'm just curious of what happens when the season starts and there's a game decided because of this. Because it's going to
happen.
It's going to happen.
Have won plenty of games over the last few years because of the tush push.
Because now I'm not taking away the Super Bowl. The Chiefs were not even close in that game. It was they won it.
What was the final score?
It was 40-22, Fletch. Because us fans, we watched the game.
Because of garbage time touchdowns for the Chiefs.
It doesn't matter. It's still a loss to the Super Bowl. It's on the paper. Now, again, I'm not going to get into Brock Purdy and the Niners because I'm going to be the bigger man, Fletch. That's what I'm going to do today. I'm not going to get baited into your stuff. It's like SoCal Jayhawk pointed out. But I'm curious about these teams though that voted against it, because to actually bring up the Bills and the Chiefs, I mean, we saw this play out a few years ago when the Chiefs actually, when they lost to New England in overtime, the AFC title game, wanted to get the overtime rules flipped. They wanted it so that both teams would get a shot to get the ball. Everyone kind of laughed in the Chiefs' face and said, "You kick rocks, you lost the game." Then the Buffalo Bills did it to them. They proposed it. Then they got it passed. I'm curious what happens with some of these teams. Like, what if the Jets get beat on a walk-off, tush push by Josh Allen? Are we going to hear complaining in the media? Like, how does this play out after? Because we certainly saw this with the pass interference penalty that got changed. I wouldn't be surprised if this comes back up on the ballot next year.
The media complaining? What are you talking about, Sammy? It's not something that happens.
We never complain.
Are you kidding me? Story number 3.
Let's head back to the NBA. Pacers, Knicks. What do you got for this series? What is your inside play? What's your gut telling you and the X factor to it?
I got the Knicks winning the series. It's going to be close. It's going to be closer than OKC and the T-Wolves. I do have the Knicks winning it. Tyrese Halliburton can have something to say about that, though. There was this whole deal on Bleacher Report that I watched early this morning while I was still staying in bed about the 5 things that make Tyrese Halliburton the most not overrated player in the NBA. And they went through his numbers, and Sammy, you nailed it in the last hour when you were talking about how his assists have been up this year. He's become a more well-rounded player. If Tyrese Halliburton can completely show out and flip off the world of people who call him overrated, maybe the Pacers have something to say about it.
Do you think the winner becomes a legit shot to have the face of the NBA?
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay. Yeah, I think if they win a title, it's a different story. But I hear you with that. I think they need to win one. I'm going to go with the Knicks as well. I'm going Knicks in 7. I keep going back and forth on this. The only reason I'm going with the Knicks is because if it does go to a game 7, which I think it will, it's going to be at the Garden. That is a really tough place to play. And this Pacers team is young, but I mean, they beat them last year in the playoffs. Now there was a lot of injuries on both sides there, but everyone's focused on Brunson and Halliburton. I think it's going to be one of the loss between Miles Turner and Karl-Anthony Towns. Karl-Anthony Towns, the kind of dirty secret in that series, he couldn't hit threes, and he's going to need to against Miles Turner because Miles Turner shoots a lot of threes. And then also
your boy Josh Hart.
But then like the Knicks can't be spotting the Pacers these leads because this is not the Celtics. They play with the pace of play. If they spot up a 20-point lead, they're winning the game. So the Knicks can't play with their food and do what they did with Boston, where games 1 and 2. Credit to them for coming back. You can't do that and expect to win this series.
619 says to be the true face of the NBA, you have to be handsome too. That's why it won't be Brunson or Curry or Tatum. Jason Tatum's a handsome guy.
Tatum and Curry, good looking dudes, right?
Yeah. Jalen Brunson, Jordan was handsome. Kobe was handsome. LeBron was way better than everyone. That's why MJ and Kobe rank above LeBron as the face of the league. It's going to be Luka as the next face of the league. I'm saying Jason Tatum is much more handsome than Luka Doncic.
Well, I think we could agree on that. Now, I agree with this text 619. I do think there's something to that. Again, Fletch,
Nike's got to be able to put you on the billboards.
Fletch, what did you say 10 minutes ago? Sellable on and off the court.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just be real. Sex sells. Okay, it does. Like let's stop with it.
Why do you think I got hired?
Yeah,
ladies.
Hey, sexy Max Muncy.
God, I hate you when you say that. That makes me so angry.
It's a compliment.
All right,
you're like Max Muncy, but sexier.
We're gonna take a break. I'm not sexy Max Muncy. I'm not anything. I'm just a loser. Coming up next on the Fletch Zone on San Diego Sports 760, we are going to talk some Padres before we get to Danny Vietti, who's going to talk more overarching Major League Baseball. These Padres need something. What is that thing? I got a couple ideas. I'll tell you next, live on the iHeartRadio app at San Diego Sports 760. We got a longtime fan on the text line from the 619. We used to call Max Muncy Max Munchies on Costa and Richards. Yes, we did.
Munchies.
So, Sammy, every time you've said I look like Max Muncy, you're basically just calling me a fatty.
No,
And bridge troll.
No. I said you were a sexier Max Muncy.
It doesn't help that as much as you think it helps. That actually makes it weird and kind of gross.
No, I'm not. The text line likes it. So shout out to them.
It is San Diego Sports 760. My name is Ben Fletcher. That's Sammy Long. No, I don't look like Max Muncy. Stop saying it, Sammy. It's not true. But we do have fun here every day. So if you're trying us out for the first time, we appreciate you being here. We're on from noon to 2 every single day, leading you up to John and Jim, who take us home all the way to 6 o'clock. And coming up tonight here on San Diego Sports 760, it's SDFC Midweek Live. Get started at 6 o'clock. You can hear from the head coach, Mikey Vadas, as well as interviews with players and coaches. Listen, coming up tonight at 6 o'clock, immediately following John and Jim. All right, those Padres, who we've come up with a couple of things. They need Narcan, they need defibrillators, they need something, CPR, to bring these bats back to life. I got a couple of other ideas, Sammy. I'm going to run these by you real quick and see what you think about whether or not these would be a good idea. Because, quick story, baseball is a ridiculously superstitious game. And I know that you hate it when I compare like high school sports to professional sports, but this is just something that happened in my life. My high school baseball team went on a big time slump. Couldn't get a hit to save our lives for like 3 or 4 games. We were
I believe that.
Terrible at baseball. At one point, one of my coaches came into the dugout before a game and he turned all the bats upside down. So instead of laying with the bottom of the bat facing up and like kind of on the chain link fence, everything was upside down. And he was like, nobody touch the bats. Nobody look at the bats until literally it is the first person to go up to bat's turn to go hit. Fixed everything for the rest of the season. We were hitting like crazy. That game, we scored like 13 runs. It might have set a school record. I don't know, but it fixed everything. And it was all just because it was goofy. It was something out of the ordinary. Baseball's a stupid game. And so sometimes stupid results end up working out. Padres, I got a couple ideas for them. Maybe once they get back to Petco Park, we let Sammy pick all their walk-up music.
Oh, yes.
I'm talking Cotton Eye Joe. I'm talking Tupac.
No.
I'm saying you're going freaky with it.
Yeah, if I got to do, first off, I'm being at the game Friday night, I was okay with about half the lineup's walk-up song.
Who was your favorite?
Jackson Merrill had a good one. Future new song like that with Kendrick Lamar. That was a great one. I'm forgetting what was Fernando's got a great one.
It's Spanish, isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't it Bad Bunny?
Yeah.
Has been for a couple years now, I think.
But yes, I know some of the guys at the back end. I'm like, what are we doing here? I mean, let's get a little bit more energy going on in the ballpark. But
and the players don't get to choose. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying like Sammy gets to choose the walk-up songs.
I would and then they could call in and see if they like it or not.
No, they don't even. I hope they don't like it. It's just something to break the concentration.
Maybe the song, right? Maybe the song will motivate them more.
So I know Mario Kart bananas are thought of as a bad thing. In normal everyday life, bananas are actually thought to bring you good luck. Here's an idea. Maybe Mike Schilt before the game, you just rub some banana all over the bats.
Imagine if Mike Schilt went to the presser and said, "Oh, hey guys, no. They're gonna go. What's going on with the bats? Oh, don't worry. No. The whole team's eating bananas, so it's gonna work out."
And then you take the peels and you just kind of whap them over the bats a few times.
Whap them over the bats.
And see if that works. Another idea. How about everyone has to trade socks right before the game starts?
This is getting a little weird. Dude.
So Fernando Tatis and Jackson Merrill, they have to switch their socks right before the game
Different
starts.
shoe sizes. No.
It's not a bad idea. Marshall's got one. What do you got?
Get Kyrie to burn some sage and all through the clubhouse.
That's not a bad idea.
Get some sage. Yeah. I don't know if 4-game losing streaks make this kind of drastic change.
It's not
this
just a 4-game losing streak. It's not a 4-game losing streak. That's not honestly what I'm worried about at all. Is a 4-game losing streak. You're going to have those. There's going to be a couple more of those down the line this season for the Padres. What I'm concerned about is the fact that in those 4 games, Manny Machado doesn't have a freaking hit. Jackson Merrill has 2 hits, and the Padres have scored 3 total runs in 4 games.
I'm not concerned with them. Merrill's going to get it back together. I'm concerned with the back end of the lineup. There's no help going on there.
That needs to be fixed. AJ Preller needs to make a trade. AJ Preller needs to go to the trade deadline or even before the trade deadline and bring in more bats.
There's something to the Machado thing because Machado, for how great he has been in San Diego, this whole slumping to begin the year, I heard John talking about it yesterday about how like we've seen worse starts to the season. It's kind of insane that we're expecting this from Manny Machado. That to start the season, I mean, he's been great in a lot of categories. Again, the power's not there. I believe he only has 3 home runs on the season. You know, tonight against Gausman, like there's a real opportunity here. Looking at kind of how many times. So Tatis has seen him 17 times. He has 8 hits off of. Arise is 7 for 9 against
I
Toronto's
like
pitching
that.
tonight.
Call that ownage.
Machado 6 for 20 with 2 home runs, actually. And Xander Bogaerts, get this, has faced Gausman 54 times when he was with Boston.
More like Gauze Lady. Am I right?
17 of 54. The 7, 8, 9 hitters haven't even seen Randy Vasquez before for Toronto. So even though Randy Vasquez, I think, had a nice outing last time, the previous kind of 2 starts before that gave him 6 hits apiece, but last time was a nice outing. The one's kind of solace in yesterday, despite the bats being an atrocity, is that Dylan Cease was able to go so far. So the bullpen is pretty healthy after Monday being off and yesterday. The Padres need to win this series because the Braves are going to be looking for some get back this week.
And the Braves have been good, especially at home. The Braves have been on fire at home this year after kind of a really rough start. Remember they started the season with like a 9-game roadie, and 2 of the teams they had to play with the Dodgers and the Padres.
By the Padres and the Dodgers.
Yeah, they started like 0-6. Another idea quickly, call it the dirty week. No one gets to shower until you start hitting again.
That's horrible. That I am not with that at all.
Then start hitting. You don't like it, hit a home run one time. Please.
How are you going to hit better if you smell horrible?
Because you're going to hate walking into the dugout every time you do. You need to up your superstition game, Sammy.
That's interesting from you. You should write the Padres. Say, hey, I got an idea for you.
619. We are 1-5, slumped over the waist, and there's no Narcan. Bats do need some Narcan. All right, take a quick break. We'll see if Danny Vietti has a good solution for us. He works for CBS Sports. He has a podcast where he talks about baseball all day long. Danny Vietti, one of the better voices on baseball in this country. He's going to join us coming up next at San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by Valley View Casino and Hotel. Padres back here at 4:07 in Toronto, taking on the Blue Jays for the second game of their series. Randy Vasquez will be on the mound for the Padres, while Kevin Gausman will be going for the Blue Jays. And tonight, the NBA gets going. The Eastern Conference Finals. Tyrese Halliburton and the Pacers head into the Garden and take on Brunson and the Knicks. The Knicks are favored by 4.5 with the point total set at 222.5. That game will be going at 5 o'clock. Start your year revved up at Valley View Casino and Hotel. On May 30th, one lucky winner will cross the finish line with their choice of 4 luxury cars, sparkling jewelry, or a spin for $100,000 during the 3 C's giveaway, only at San Diego's favorite casino.
San Diego Sports 760 SDFC back on the pitch Saturday afternoon. They got LA Galaxy at Snapdragon Stadium. You can hear the match live Saturday night starting at 1:15 right here on San Diego Sports 760, your home for SDFC. All right, Danny Vietti is here. He's with CBS Sports. He's got the Wake and Rake podcast, not Wake and Bake, Wake and Rake podcast, and really, really good stuff from Danny Vietti over the years. Danny, how we doing, pal?
I'm doing well, fellas. How we doing down south?
Oh, it's just peachy here. It's actually a little unseasonably warm in San Diego. We're up in the 80s. Can you believe it?
Don't do it. You're just gonna trigger me. Don't even do it, Benny.
It's we do live a privileged life down here. But Danny, you kind of look at the Padres, what they've been doing, man, and you would think they're just getting a little too used to this weather because the bats have gone silent. They are not hitting anymore. What have you noticed as the biggest problem for the Padres?
I mean, it was inevitable that they were going to slow down at some point, right? I mean, a lot of their players got out to some pretty torrid starts. I mean, Tatis, he's still playing at an MVP level, but at one point he was hitting close to 360, 370, and that's come back down to earth at 303. Jackson Merrill is now back healthy, but it kind of seemed inevitable that they were only going to be able to fill that void for as long as possible. And they did a nice job filling the void, but eventually over 162 games, that void seems to get greater and greater. So it's good to get Jackson back into the fold. It would be really nice to get Xander Bogaerts going at some point. It kind of feels like Bogey, unfortunately for him, is kind of wearing the same hat as Eric Hosmer did for however many years he was down there in San Diego. A guy that came over to San Diego on a big contract, a guy that has a World Series ring, a guy that is expected to be a team leader and frankly hasn't performed statistically the way that fans probably hoped he would. And there's still another, 8 years left on this contract. And so I hope for Bogarts' regard or for his sake that he's able to turn it around at some point. So I would chalk it up more so that these bats were going to come back to life at some point, at some time. Same with the pitching staff as well. They got off to such a hot start. And eventually over 162 games, you're going to cool off at some point. But there's no reason to hit the alarm by any means.
Kind of looking at the NL West and the bullpens, we can take the Rockies out maybe, but the Padres had a great start for the bullpen. The Diamondbacks have really struggled this year in the bullpen, and the Dodgers have really been struggling recently. Would you say the Padres still have the best bullpen, or do you see someone else in the division that's kind of rise above?
Honestly, it's pretty strong across the board. I mean, San Francisco has struggled in the bullpen, especially in the back end. They've gotten Camilo Doval pitching better baseball now, at least a lot better than he had been the previous couple seasons when he was an all-star 2 years ago. So that's great for San Francisco, but their expected closer, Ryan Walker, has really, really struggled this season. So they're having their own difficulties up there, especially late innings. And in Los Angeles, they mix and match so well that I never worry about, what their talent or capability is, because we've seen what their front office is capable of doing. Is if their bullpen struggles, they go out and get an arm from, they'll go out and get Evan Phillips. They'll go out and get a Michael Kopech kind of thing mid-season, and they're able to sure things up. And not to mention the Dodgers, it seems like every season now, Blake Trinan's on the injured list. And then come October, here comes Blake Trinan, and he's able to kind of sure up any sort of failures that had been with that back end of the bullpen. And then Arizona does a nice job mixing and matching too. I don't necessarily want to put a ranking on it quite yet. I know San Diego struggled a bit as well, at least late innings, and including Suarez in the ninth inning as well. But I do believe AJ Preller has earned the respect, especially after last season's trade deadline, getting the guys that he got over from Miami and from Tampa a year ago to shore up that bullpen. I wouldn't worry too much about bullpen pitching, because what front offices are able to do nowadays they're as good as any in being able to find guys in other bullpens in order to shore up a bullpen that might be failing.
Danny Vietti with CBS Sports and with the Wake and Rake podcast joining us today on San Diego Sports 760. Danny, you had a tweet up, and it's crazy when you put the faces to the names, but the Dodgers have had 13 different pitchers start a game so far this season, which is the most in Major League Baseball. Last year, they had 17 all season long. The Dodgers feel like the only team maybe in Major League Baseball who can sustain these kind of injuries and still be fine by the end of the year.
Well, yeah, considering they came into this season with legitimately 2 starting rotations that they could have put out there if Ohtani was healthy, of course, and he's still not back healthy pitching wise yet, of course. But yeah, here's the names for you. So Yoshinobu Yamamoto has pitched 10 games. After that, it's Sasaki, who's on the IL. Dustin May has pitched 8 games, started at 8 games, I should say. Tyler Glasnow, he's on the IL. Landon Knack, 4 starts. Tony Gonsolin, 4 starts. Jack Dreyer, Blake Snell, Ben Kasparius, Max Sauer, and Clayton Kershaw, Bobby Miller, and Justin Robleski have each pitched and started 1 game. So the next highest team were the Milwaukee Brewers at 11 different starting pitchers this season. And to put it into context, if you remember a year ago when the Dodgers wound up winning the World Series, they dealt with a plethora of injuries a year ago too. And their biggest question mark going into the postseason was whether they were going to have enough healthy arms last year. Well, last year they used a total of 17 starting pitchers across a 162 game season. They're already up to 13 now. And there's a lot of Dodger haters out there, understandably, because of their payroll, because of how they operate. I'll say this much. Recent history has told us that the Dodgers starting pitchers and their trainers, their staff, for whatever reason, has not been able to keep their starting pitchers healthy. It's at the point now where it's not a coincidence. And it is a league-wide problem that higher velocity tends to lead to more arm injuries. But it seems like the guys that the Dodgers are recruiting and signing to free agent deals tend to lead to injuries for whatever reason. I don't necessarily put it on the training staff, but that's what recent history tells us. The Dodgers have dealt with starting pitching injuries for each of the last 3-4 seasons.
Is there a team that you think we're not talking about enough in the MLB right now?
There's probably a handful. Let me look at the standings. Let me ask you this: positively or negatively?
Positively, like a team that you don't think is getting enough love that could be a handful down the stretch.
I mean, the A's have slipped recently, but I do think that lineup is really, really strong. They just haven't had enough quality starts. That pitching staff with Severino and Springs and company, they've really struggled pitching at home in that AAA minor league stadium in Sacramento. The wind's been blowing out a lot at Sutter Health Park up in Sacramento, and their pitching is at a really, really tough time at home. The A's are 8-15 at home, but they're 14-12 when they're away. And they just brought up some of their top prospects. So I think that lineup is just going to continue to get better. We'll see if they have enough pitching. But I do think the A's, especially in that American League West division, it's a gettable division. There's really nobody running away with it so far. And if the A's can get back on track and start hitting the baseball again, I think they are a threat in that American League West. As for the National League, I personally came into the season loving the Cubs lineup, and I know they're at the top of the division at 30-20, and I think it was Fangraphs put out a statistic that they have the highest probability to win the World Series this year. And I don't think we're really talking enough about Chicago because they have the lineup intact. So now you have a front office who is willing to spend, who does have the payroll, that is able to go out on the trade market and get some of these starting pitchers who could be available as we creep closer to the trade deadline. That's what's scary for the Cubs, is that they already have their lineup intact. Now they just have to put a couple puzzle pieces in place to become a complete team and become a team that's capable of toppling the Dodgers or the Philadelphia Phillies or the New York Mets come postseason time.
Danny Vietti, CBS Sports, joining us today. Danny, let's talk some Juan Soto, because it hasn't been all flowers since he joined the New York Mets. But what I'm really curious about, not the hustle stuff necessarily. We saw enough of that in San Diego. But how much did he hate the Yankees? Because he signs with the New York Mets, and then we find out today that he was inches away from signing with the Boston Red Sox. So you're talking about the two teams that the Yankees fan base hates the most, and he was this close, it sounds like, with both of them, and the Mets ended up winning out.
I wouldn't chalk it up as much as he hates the Yankees. I think it's just at the end of the day, and fans hate this cliche. I hate this cliche. But at the end of the day, it's a business. And Soto wound up taking the most money on the table. There was a report that the Yankees and Mets were going in, and probably the Red Sox as well, speculating here. But those 2 to 3 teams were going tit for tat when it came to offers. And then eventually it was the Mets that kind of walked away with the sweepstakes and wound up upping the offer to a point where the Yankees probably could match it. So I had this kind of prediction going throughout the Soto sweepstakes is it was going to be the highest paycheck that got the reward. And the Mets were willing to go as far as they possibly could. I chalk this anger, this angst amongst Mets fans as much about the idea that anybody in the world is even plausibly worth $765 million. There's no one in the world that is that is breathing right now that is worth that amount of money.
Except for Danny Vietti.
Let's not put that on my shoulders. Now I can't live with that. I can't do it. But Shohei Ohtani is not worth $765 million, and he's probably the only player in the entire planet in this universe that you could argue is worth that sort of amount of money because of his marketability, his international status, his ability to be on the mound and swing a bat at an elite level. But Juan Soto, it's always been a very poor defender. So he doesn't do it in the field. He's an elite hitter, and his age is in his favor. But other than those two attributes, there's no possible way that you can argue that Juan Soto or any hitter in the world is worth $765 million. And I think that there's this standard that he's trying to live up to, and it's a complete impossible standard that he will never be able to meet. And I think Mets fans have to wrap their brain around that at some point, that no one's worth $765 million. And there's a good chance, it's very likely that Juan Soto's not going to win the MVP every single year. So I think it's just, they got to level their expectations out in Queens a little bit, which can be hard for Mets fans.
If we look at the Dodgers as, the odds-on favorite to win the whole thing, you mentioned the Cubs, the Phillies, the Mets. Where do you think the Padres rank in there in terms of challengers of the Dodgers?
They're absolutely right in the mix. It really just comes down to health with the Padres. Last year, the Dodgers dealt with health concerns throughout the playoffs, and the Padres had an opportunity, as we all know, in that divisional series and just weren't able to get it done. But it really comes down to health with the Padres, because right now Pivetta's pitching fantastically, has had a great start to the season. Michael King, Dylan Cease. After that, there's Vasquez, and it gets a little rocky. And so ideally coming into a postseason, you want 3 to 4 solid starters to get you through a postseason. And hopefully you can get a Yu Darvish back, because he's going to be as critical as anybody for a postseason run because of his experience, because of his ability to pitch in big games. So it always comes down to health and who can get hot at the right time. But talent-wise, on paper, the Padres are as good as the Dodgers in a 5-game series, in a 7-game series. They're as good as the Phillies, the Mets, the Cubs in a 5 to 7 game series. It's baseball, man. And it's just whether they get hot at the right time, and we'll see who's healthy at the right time.
And if the bats ever come alive again and start working, Danny, thank you for your time, man. CBS Sports, the Wake and Rake podcast, Danny Vietti, one of the absolute best.
All right, gentlemen. Thanks for having me.
Boom. There he goes. Danny Vietti. I really like having that guy on, man. And I was going to ask him about the A's new ballpark. I think he's up in that area. I wonder if he's gotten out to it. And I also want to know, are the A's still going to Las Vegas? Do you think?
They got the Las Vegas badge on their jersey.
I know, but it doesn't even feel like they're actually moving there, or Las Vegas actually wants them.
Well, the thing I feel bad for, I want to shout out our very own CJ Newton, our big voice guy.
Is he an A's fan?
Imaging, lifelong A's fan.
No.
And legit, you feel bad. It's one of those things. It's like when the Chargers moved to LA. When the Rams moved to LA, it was like a party in the streets. They were showing it on SportsCenter. I remember watching it. It was because
not in St. Louis,
not in St. Louis, but everyone in St. Louis complaining like they weren't LA before you stole them. When the Chargers moved, I remember Schefter. I mean, everyone was like, "This is just sad. Like, it doesn't feel like that this should be happening. That a city like San Diego that loved their team, it's getting it ripped out, and it feels the same way about up there in Oakland. I don't even feel like Vegas is. I mean, people will get with it. It'll be exciting on the Strip, but it does suck for such a kind of historic franchise up there that it's getting ripped out and thrown into Nevada.
Fix your stadiums. Don't move the team, you ding dongs. All right, we got a couple great texts that we're going to get to in the final segment of the show. That's coming up next here on San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. But first, we got some tickets to give away.
I almost sent us to break, Fletch.
You thought I'd forget. But I didn't. Simple Minds, Soft Sell, Modern English, Saturday, May 24th, North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. Tickets and info at Ticketmaster.com. Caller number 10. You are getting those tickets. 877-767-4760. You want to go see Simple Minds, Soft Sell, and Modern English on May 24th out in Chula Vista. You can get tickets to info at Ticketmaster.com, or you be calling number 10 right now. All right, we'll wrap this thing up coming up next. San Diego Sports 760 on our way out here. Ben Fletcher and Sammy Long with you for a few more minutes before John and Jim take over for the rest of the day. Earlier, I brought up that maybe the Padres would benefit by having Sammy randomly pick walk-up songs when they get back to Petco Park. Maybe mix things up a little bit, put some juice into the bats. 615 says, "Oh man, I so wish I could choose Tua Turn the Ball Over's warm-up song. Though it would be tough to choose between China Doll by David Bowie, Paper Tiger by Sue Thompson, Fragile by Sting, and Don't Forget Me When I'm Gone by the Glass Tigers."
That's good.
Solid text
That's
615
good.
619. Blake Snell, what it do, dog? Yeah, he's hurt again, isn't he?
Yeah, we got it. Yeah, Blake Snell is hurt. That's the entire Dodger staff is absolutely in shambles.
Isn't that great? 13 starting pitchers already.
And it's not just the starters though; it's the bullpen. That's what's crazy for them is that the bullpen is getting extremely taxed. Coach Quintera talked about it when he was on with us about how you kind of look at what bullpens are being used at an aggressive rate throughout the year. It really comes back to bite teams in October.
What's amazing is the Padres, who have not been playing very good baseball, are only a game and a half back of the Dodgers because they have not been playing very good baseball either. But the NL West right now, Dodgers 30-19, Giants 29-20, Padres 27-19, Diamondbacks 26-23. And then the other team, the forgotten stepchild, the Rockies, 8-40, on pace for one of the worst baseball seasons of all time. All right, Big Marsh on the mic. You've heard from him a couple times over the last couple of weeks here. We love Big Marsh. He's back on the mic. Marsh, what do we got going on tonight?
Oh, so today is a big playoff matchup at Madison High School. The number 2 seed in Division II are hosting the San Ysidro Cougars. So they have their ace on the bump, Jeremiah Jennings, and their batteries. Dakota James is a catcher. Just wanted to, show them a love. I'll be over there announcing the game after this.
Big Marsh is going to be on the mic tonight too.
Yeah, definitely on the mic, and just want to shout out the guys, the Warhawks. Good luck on your game. Shout out Ryan Jackson as well, and Coach Lovato and all the players up there.
Now, Big Marsh, in your experience with high school baseball, because you're around the game a lot, don't you think some of my ideas were pretty good about changing stuff up for the Padres?
You can be honest.
Yes.
You can be honest, Marshall.
Definitely. I believe that there's just, the flow of the game and those weird little habits like, hey, the kids turn their hats upside down.
The rally caps.
The rally caps. They do their bats a certain kind of way if they're in a slump or to get off the schneid. So, yeah, great ideas.
It's very bad to touch Jabu's rum.
Yeah.
Don't touch Jabu's rum.
Don't.
But definitely maybe
Jobu
stop
doesn't
showering
like
until we start hitting some home runs, Padres. Come on.
Yeah.
Get that stank going in the clubhouse, and then maybe home runs will be aplenty. That's been the biggest problem for him, man. It's not necessarily just the last couple of days of no hitting whatsoever. You're going to go through that during a Major League Baseball season, but the lack of power for the Padres all year, I think they have the second least home runs in Major League Baseball right now. Come on.
Maybe some more Wheaties too in the morning.
Some more Wheaties or maybe just some more weed might help out the Padres a little bit.
I know they don't need weed. They need to be focused.
All of them in a teepee together on a vision quest and maybe do the Aaron Rodgers treatment.
Yes, the Aaron Rodgers treatment may be needed.
Vision quest for Tatis and the boys.
Hey, so some breaking news here in the final minute of the show. Coming up tomorrow. If you weren't here today, you're going to want to be here tomorrow because we got Brad Paisley tickets to give away. One of my favorite shows I've ever been to. I saw him at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater a couple years ago. The dude is a freaking wizard on the guitar, super interactive with fans. Brad Paisley tickets on the show tomorrow, as well as SDFC tickets for this weekend's match. Sammy, you're going, right? This weekend?
I am going. I got I'm excited. I'm going to my second soccer game.
You're going to have a blast, man. And this time you won't even have to pay for food or drinks, I don't think.
Really?
I don't think
we
so.
got the big boy tickets?
I think you got the big boy tickets.
Oh.
Man, I'm honestly bummed. I am going out of town this weekend. I'm playing some golf up in Sacramento with my brother and one of our best friends, but then I get invited to this soccer game and I'm like,
oh, please. Oh, it's so hard to beat Fletch.
Sometimes
quick predictions tonight. Pacers, Knicks. Who gets game one?
Knicks.
I'm sticking with the Knicks. I'd like to say Pacers.
I think Knicks win the series. I think Pacers win tonight.
I'm rooting for the Pacers in the series. I really am. I just think the Knicks are going to win. All right, that's it for us today. John and Jim coming up next. Padres playing at 4:00 today. Lineup is in by Kevin Acey. I'm sure John and Jim will tell you all about it. San Diego Sports 760. We'll see you tomorrow.